right, well, if you're here to learn the first couple weeks of raising chicks. So today the kids and I are packed up. We are headed to our local farm store and we're gonna see if we can find some really good meat birds that look really healthy. Usually I like to order from online hatcheries, but this year with the avian flu and it's just, we didn't think we were gonna do meat birds. So farm stores are another good option. Just make sure when you get your birds that you have them checked to make sure that they're all clean. There's no vent clogging, which can happen in transit when they're bringing the birds to the farm stores. So just make sure that you're able to be there to pick out your own birds. Today we're gonna get about 20 birds, so I'm hoping that they have enough for us. So let's go take a look. To our local farm store, and we are gonna start our meat birds on organic chick starter and grower. So this is good for the first 21 days of life. We are gonna add, of course, our own special supplements and things like that, which I'll show you later. But this is my recommendation if you can find this. I like this company. I like that they're reasonably priced. But if you can find this and get it, I highly suggest. All right, so as you can see, there's lots of different options for different feeders, watering systems. I'll show you what we have, and you can do something similar or find your own. So we get these at the start. So this will be the waterer. This goes on top. You fill this with water, put the top on. Okay, that's a water. This one would be for the food. So you fill the jug with water and put them on top. They're very versatile. There's also this feeder here, which if you have more birds, are able to come in here. All right, so these are the different breeds that you can get. Oh, they all look so cute. So what we're gonna get is the Cornish cross, because
Cornish cross are a meat bird.
They are great, exactly, great meat birds, fast growers. Look how cute they are. So I think we're gonna take all of them, and I think they told me there was 23. So if that's right,
Well,
we'll just take them all. Oh, but look at these guys. I mean, if we didn't already have ducks, these would be the ones.
Oh, ducks are messy.
Oh, they're so cute. Are you guys excited?
Yeah.
Have some chickens at home? Yeah, they're pretty cute. So we were only planning on bringing about 15, but because there's only going to be a few left, we'll just take them all.
Look how noisy they are.
So you're going to want some kind of container like this. You're going to need a heat lamp, food, and water. And definitely some good pine shaving bedding. These are Rhode Island Reds, and these are cute too. All right, get these packed up. All right, so we got 3 boxes full of chicks to bring home. What do you think Dad's gonna think that we're bringing extras? Maybe he won't count them and he won't know. So we've got 23 Cornish crosses that we're gonna bring home. And these guys take about 8 to 10 weeks to become full size. So we'll take you along on that journey. All right, so we made it home with the chicks. We're getting their box ready. So this tote is probably going to be big enough for a little while with as many chicks as we got. We do have this from when we had ducklings. It's chick grit. I like this a lot. It helps them to just digest their food. You just give this kind of in a dish, free range or free choice. And then this will be the heat lamp. We're gonna get this set up, but I wanted to show you what we do for food and water. So with the water, like I told you before, all you have to do is screw the top on, but we put a little dash of apple cider vinegar in their water when they're first starting out, and also throughout their life too, but it's really important right away to get them a jump start on health. And then I showed you the organic feed that we like. Well, I guess with chicks you could maybe do medicated. We've never done it. I don't like medicated feed. I would rather try and use apple cider vinegar and brewer's yeast. This actually has brewer's yeast, so nutritional yeast, echinacea, and garlic. And this is what we've used with our ducks. They don't necessarily need the niacin, the chicks, but we have it, and it's actually got some healthy ingredients to it. So we'll just give them a spoonful of this into their food. But again, this just twists on the top, and then when you're ready, just flip it over, and you shake the food down. You can see that the food fills up about half of a bowl in here, or like half of a container in here. So what I like to do is I like to fill this first and then quickly turn it over. That way you have more food in here. You don't have to fill it as quickly. But we'll get this in their box and we'll take you upstairs to see them in their new home. Okay, so we've got their food and water all set up with their nice little fine pine shavings. And now it's time for the kids to unleash the chickens into their house. So because these guys have been at a farm store for a little while, they kind of know how to eat and drink. So it's important that you show them where their food and water is. So we dip their little beaks in. That way they know how to get a drink. And it just takes one. Just takes one to show them all how to do it. Good job, you guys. Okay, so we'll assess them once we get them in to see if this is enough space. We do have more totes if we need to move, do half and half, but I'd like to keep them in the same area just because they're going to be in the same area for their life.
I'm just trying to grab it, Alice.
Okay, so it looks like they're finding everything. They're finding their food. They're finding their grit. They all look healthy. So now begins all the fun raising of the chickens. All right, so this is day 2. Checked on these guys this morning. All of them were healthy, happy, and look at this little guy. Always laying in this little bowl of grit. Not sure why. So, after the first day, you're going to be nervous that first morning waking up. Don't be. These chicks are very hardy. If you do find one that's sick, just take it out, quarantine it, put it in a box, give it its own water. Again, what I like to do with our chicks' water, I like to do this with the ducks and the turkeys, is actually put a splash of apple cider vinegar into this water, and then also a little bit of colloidal silver. So what that's going to do is boost their immune system. It's going to kill whatever sort of bacteria, any sort of germs, illnesses that they came with. And right now, apparently the avian flu is kind of going around. So we're being a little more proactive on these guys. We'll keep them quarantined away from our other birds for about 2 weeks just to make sure that they are healthy and are not going to spread any sort of diseases. So with the food, you can see they're getting a little messy, but always keep food in for them. Always keep it full. Make sure they have enough food and water. They're growing so fast, and this goes for egg layers and for meat birds. All of our information that we're going to give in this video is for meat birds and for egg layers. It's only the first 2 weeks of life, and then after that we will do another video on how we raise them before they're harvested. So yeah, just pick them up, love them. As you can see, they're not super worried about anything right now. They're just eating and drinking machines. They do sleep a lot, but you'll see in this video how quickly these guys grow. Now, the difference between the meat birds and the egg layers is that the egg layers take a little bit more time to grow and they're not going to be as large, depending on the breed. These guys, we got them for that sole purpose of being meat. So depending on what you're doing, the same thing will apply with the food and water, but you'll just, in a matter of weeks, treat them a little bit differently. All right, so you're on day 3. You're noticing that your chicks are getting bigger really fast. This happens, especially with meat birds. Like I said before, with the egg layers, they're not going to grow as quickly, but you're going to see especially with the Cornish cross, they grow extremely fast. So we keep food in there all day. You can see they make a mess with it. Probably like every 2-3 days, you're going to want to change your bedding, depending on how many birds you have, the size of your container, if you have a brooder. I mean, it all depends on your situation. In here, tomorrow's going to be the day we're going to have to put these guys in another container and clean out their bedding. They're not as messy as ducks. They're hardier than turkeys, which I like, but they still do make a mess. I mean, they're eating and drinking all day long, so you know what happens. My suggestion is having a very large area before you begin. We are lucky we have our giant duck and turkey house up top of our property, and I'll show you that later in the video. So what we're going to do is we are going to corner off a little area that has a nice fence. We're going to put a couple heat lamps in there because it is getting warmer here in Wyoming. I'm not as worried about them as at night in there with a couple heat lamps. So we'll get that all set up tomorrow and show you guys what we like to do with our setup for our brooder. This is just a very temporary situation. We weren't necessarily planning on meat birds this year. We decided very last minute. So this was a nice option for just a few days. If you have a couple birds, this is fine. But 23, this is just too small of a space. So kept up with their food today, kept up with their water, gave them lots of love. You can see my kids like to lay out towels, but you see how messy they are. It's just kind of gross. So make sure you have a system in place for cleanup, but just enjoy them. They're so cute and they get so big so quickly. So we got these guys moved. We put them in last night, gave them about, well, I'd say we probably put them in around 4 o'clock. So they had a few hours to get acclimated to the cooler temperatures. But with these 2 heat lamps, which you have to make sure that these are completely secure so that they don't fall. They do have the guards on them. So if they do fall, they hopefully, we'd catch it in time. But some of them can fit through still on these little gates. So it's okay. I came in this morning, all of them were in. They were, doing what they're doing now, coming in, going out, coming in, going out. They're very playful and cute and fun. So I got 2 feeders going and 2 waterers just because when I'm not able to come out here at night, I want to make sure that they're fully stocked on everything that they're going to need to thrive. So another thing that I'm adding into we can do feed or in their water. I'm putting it in the water just because I think will distribute a little more evenly. But I put in about half a teaspoon, maybe even a quarter teaspoon when they're this little, of cayenne pepper. So the thing with chickens, with turkeys, not so much with ducks, but these guys can contract a really nasty virus called blackhead. It's nearly always fatal, and it takes out entire flocks because it's very contagious. It attacks their insides, it's kind of like a parasite. It works that way, but they just stop eating. They become very quiet. They don't move around a lot, and they just die. And it's really, really hard to watch. We had that happen in a flock of turkeys that we had. Luckily, we were able to catch it. But the cayenne pepper will actually help to kill that and hopefully not have any problems with it. So I put a little bit of that in their water now. Same with the food. Just continue to keep feeding them and giving them lots of space to run and and do their thing and keep them warm. Okay, so you've had your birds for a week now. You're noticing them getting very, very big. I mean, obviously not that big, but a lot bigger than when you got them. They're eating a lot more. They're drinking a lot more. We're filling these 2 waters about twice a day, and same with the feeders. But here in Wyoming, we're gonna have to keep the heat lamps for a while. So if you have finicky temperatures like we do here, you're gonna probably need a secure heat lamp for most of the first 2 weeks that they're in here. Really, until they're fully feathered, you really should have heat lamps if it's not warm outside. They will huddle, but you can see even in here, we have 2 heat lamps and they're still kind of gathered under because it's only about 40 degrees today. So power in numbers, they love it. So just continue with the food, continue with the water, make sure their bedding is staying pretty dry, pretty clean. Feel free to change it as often as you like. Like I said before with the bedding, I like to have the fine bedding just because I feel like it's easier for them to maneuver around in. But then you can move it up. We have the bigger flakes in here. This is just the regular flakes for your birds after that. All right, so you guys are at 1 week with your birds and you're kind of seeing their personalities come out a bit. They're just very fun. But what I wanted to let you know, so after a week of having these birds with free choice food, you're gonna wanna take away their food for at least 12 hours, like at night. These types of birds tend to overeat and get really, really large really quickly and can have some serious health issues, and it's really hard to watch. So after the first week that you've had your birds, they can have food and water all day, every day. But during the night, so whether that be, depending on what time you get them up in the morning, you can do 12 hours before that. Just take their food away, keep their water in there if you choose to. I like to keep water in there for them all the time. But this just gives them on a different schedule as well and helps them, like I said, to not overeat. All right, you guys are on, I think, day 10 now. And you can see much bigger birds. They're doing a lot of eating and a lot of sleeping, a lot of running around, playing with each other. Days 7 through 10, you just are kind of doing the same thing. Just watch for something that can happen, and I wanted to let you know. That happened the other day with our flock here, is that sometimes birds are not the brightest and they will hog pile each other. That's why we keep 2 heat lamps in here, because it does get pretty cold at night here. These guys I thought were good to go, and then we found one dead chick at the bottom of the pile a couple mornings ago. It hasn't happened since. I noticed this happens a lot more with turkeys, but it can happen with chicks as well. So if you keep things, it's usually like in corners of areas, they get stuck. But just watch for that. There's not really anything you can do to prevent it. Make sure they have a lot of room. Make sure they have, ample space to run, and plenty of space where they can be warm. Because if they're all cold and they're all huddling together, there's a chance that the ones at the bottom could suffocate and die. So keep a lookout for that going forward, throughout this whole process, really. And just, handle them if you want to, depending on if you're having them for egg layers or meat birds. We just like to handle them just because we love birds and animals. So, and we treat them like we would any other pet. We don't treat them any differently because we are planning on consuming them. We still think that they need a nice life. So we give them as much love and attention as we do the rest of our animals too. So enjoy them. Okay, day 11. We need to clean out this area. So I've layered it probably twice with that fine bedding. And I think they're big enough now that they can be in the rest. So I'm gonna open this up for them to kind of roam and explore a little bit. They're not scared at all. This breed is very docile. I did block off. We have a little walkway area for our ducks and turkeys, but this is where the chicks are in relation to that. So I'm just gonna let them come out and explore. That way I can get in here, clean this area out, and you can see how big they are now. They need more space. So we're just gonna block off probably from here to here. Oh boy, they get excited, I'll tell you that. So same deal, just make sure they have really clean bedding, plenty of room to do that. We will let them outside eventually. It's just really cold here right now. That's why they still have the heat lamps. I will probably take them out for a little adventuring, but that is a door that goes right out to the outside right there. So upgraded the water. You can see that's a bigger water now, so I don't have to keep coming in every half an hour to fill it. Still have the same size feeder, but I do have this larger feeder right here that I'm gonna fill today, and they're big enough now that they can get into it without any problem. So yeah, just continue to care and love for your little chickies. Day 12. Check out these guys. They are huge. And they're starting to go away from the heat lamps, which is a good thing because that means they're getting all of their adult feathers and pretty soon they can go outside. Oh, and they're just the cutest. They are sleeping a lot because they are growing super fast and they're eating a ton and drinking a ton. So make sure you have a big enough feeder and a big enough water for your flock. For this small group, I think if we were to do any more than this, we would have to get the 3 to 5 gallon water, and the food I think would be okay. We might need to get, we actually have one more of those, so we might actually have to do that. That's what we had to do with the turkeys when we had the 90 of them. But yeah, just watch your weather. Definitely, if it's too hot, you will be able to tell. They will move very far away from the heat, and they'll be panting and all of it. So just be aware of that. Watch for signs of that. But they should be pretty good this time of year, and depending on where you are in the country too. Yeah, just enjoy them and watch the food and water. Okay, day 13. So you can see they're starting to lose all those baby feathers. They're getting awfully big, awfully quick, and they're gonna look not very cute here pretty soon. They will lose all that fuzz and they will just kind of be naked birds for a little while. Another reason to have the heat lamps going. But like I said, once they get those adult feathers, they're good to go. Then you can start introducing them outside. We don't have a fenced-in area outside. That's why I'm not allowing these guys to go out yet. I want them to be a bit bigger and kind of know their home and know our area before I just let them out. Yeah, I mean, these guys, before you know it, they're gonna be roosting and doing all of the things that the big chickens do. But you're just gonna be doing the same thing. Make sure they've got enough food, make sure they've got enough water. If you choose to use grit, go ahead and keep that fully stocked for them. Again, you're taking the food away at night. You do not want them overeating. You do not want to give them free choice 24/7. That's just not going to be healthy for these birds. So moving forward after these 2 weeks as well, you're going to want to do no food at night. You're going to want them to know where their home and their food is. They are very food motivated, so that's in the best interest of everybody because they'll stay close to their home. So you've had your meat birds now for 2 weeks, and they're, of course, still very cute, but looking more like chickens every day. So you're noticing that they go through a lot more food, a lot of water. Today we're going to switch up their water and put a 3-gallon water in here. So just keep up with giving them healthy food. These guys will probably be ready to process at 8 weeks just because they are a bit bigger than I think they typically would be at this age. So, if you'd like to see a little more progress of that, check out our YouTube channel. But thanks for coming along on this fun little journey that we embarked on. Make sure they've got clean bedding, healthy food, fresh water, and just love them. Keep them warm. Enjoy every minute. Thanks, guys.